everybody, we've got the brand new Tyranid wave coming from Games Workshop, and these new bugs are looking mighty spicy. I'm Adam from BoLS, and these are the brand new Tyranids. Let's check them out. Kicking things off, we've got the new Norn Emissary box. Now, we've actually already built the model, so sorry, the sprues are already trashed, but this is actually the Norn Assimilator. I built this model kind of on accident instead of the Norn Emissary, which is the Psychic Big Bug. They're both good. I think overall, I do think the Norn Emissary might be a little bit better, a little bit more useful because it's got longer range attacks with some psychic powers, and it makes it a little bit better at like popping vehicles at range. However, the Norn Assimilator here is very deadly up close and will rip most things to shred with like a strength 12 attacks. Really good AP overall too. Plus it's got the little grappling hook barb things from its chest, which are pretty cool. Just a size comparison, this is probably not as big as you were hoping. If you're like me, you were kind of hoping it would be a giant Lord of War. It is not. This is a Reaver we have, just size comparison wise. It is on a big base though, so it's closer to like a Redemptor Dreadnought or something like along those sizes, but it's not quite Knight Titan size. But it is still really cool. You have a lot of different options with this model. I really like the base that they included with it as well, just like the scenic base stuff. You are going to be left over with some bits, so if you are a Tyranid player collector, you're going to have lots of options to play around with for kit bashing stuff later. But it is a really cool kit. It is bigger than say like a Hive Tyrant, so if it doesn't have the character keyword, so it's not going to replace your Warlord Hive Tyrants, but it definitely will have a really cool role in your army. So whatever Norn option you go with, it's going to be good. This is the Tyranid Neurolictor, which is a brand new bioform for the Tyranids. It's a neat little model. It's part Lictor, part Psyker, brain bug type of thing. So it's got some psychic power. It's great if you're going to run a Lictor heavy list. And again, just a size comparison with the Reaver. Again, it's on a larger base. I want to say this is like a 50 or 60 millimeter base. It's larger than the Terminator base is what I'm saying. But yeah, it's a cool looking model. It's about twice the height of a Space Marine. But yeah, it was neat to put it together. It was pretty easy, to be perfectly honest. It looks a little bit spindly, but it's got a really cool pose with the way the tail kind of whips around the model, and a way it's got like a head spike thing coming out of the back of its head, which is really cool. But the way that GW cut up this model to like put it on sprue when you're assembling it does a great job of hiding the seams, like we've seen in a lot of other models. But it's just a cool brain bug Lictor, new biomorph thing, so I like it. We've got the brand new Deathleaper in the studio, and you may have seen this model. This was teased by Games Workshop as one of the early new Tyranid miniatures. The Deathleaper is now on a 60 millimeter base. It's got a really cool like pipe grate thing that it's standing on as well as part of the miniature. What folks probably remember about the Deathleaper is like the weird bio trench coat thing he's got going on. It's part of his chameleon-like ability to blend in, I think. But I really like the look of this model. It looks like a comic book character bad guy villain just coming out of the pipes or something like that. I like the pose of it. I like how crazy his claws are, and like been playing a lot of Baldur's Gate 3, like I'm sure a lot of other folks have been out there, and this is very much an illithid with the tentacle face and everything. I mean, you can't not see it if you've played it all. So, but it's just a really cool looking model. I really like the change compared to the old Deathleaper. In my opinion, this is light years better than the old metal model. It's way more dynamic. It looks like a Lictor, but definitely not just a regular Lictor. I don't know. I think this is a fantastic job overall. And again, compared to like a Reaver Space Marine, way more imposing and way bigger, and just, I don't know, as an assassin character, big bug dude, this is just fantastic. So Deathleaper is really cool. I am actually really excited about the new Lictor box. Why? Because first off, it's plastic, but secondly, they did a really cool thing. GW did a really cool thing with the Lictor model. In the box, it's one kit that can actually be posed in 3 different ways depending on how you set up the bottom legs and the bases. and the arms. And the way you can kit bash this model into various different poses, it's nuts. But I built it with this hunched over pose where he's kind of like coming out of like a football line, just about to charge through or something like that. But you can build it in a couple different ways. You can build a regular Lictor like just standing upright, like full on like rah! Or you can kind of build him this hunched over way where he's kind of coming out of a grate or something, charging through the space. But I like that they have 3 different options built in normally, and that's not counting if you wanted to kit bash everything together. I believe this is going to be a 50 millimeter base, again, compared to a Reaver height-wise. If you count the extended claws, it's like 2 or 3 times as tall. So very cool looking model, and I'm glad that GW changed this model up and just has a ton of different ways to build it now. So very cool Lictor model, much improved over the previous versions in my opinion. And the final model that we're going to talk about today is the new Biovore / Pyrovore. Now, I built the Pyrovore mostly in form of protest versus the current model of the Pyrovore, which was possibly my most hated Tyranid model that I've ever seen that GW made. It was so bad I didn't bother buying one, and I'm a big Tyranid guy, so like that's saying something. I was excited about this new version. I like that it's got this like scorpion tail that is attached to the big flame spewing Pyrovore cannon. So again, I went with the Pyrovore option. This box you can build as either a Biovore or a Pyrovore, and yeah, it does come with 3 spore mines as well. You can actually build the spore mines regardless if you do a Bio or a Pyrovore, so those are also technically included in this box regardless of what you build. My only complaint about this model would have to be the legs. When you're positioning those, they can be a little tricky to work with, so do a little pre-planning when you're assembling this model. That's my tip when you're putting this together. But the actual cannon is different for both the Pyrovore or the Biovore, and you actually will end up with extra bits when you're done. So that's pretty cool, because then you can use it for some other crazy Tyranid conversion if you so choose. And again, model-wise, compared to a Space Marine, this is a Reaver. Comparing it to the Biovore, it's a much bigger base. This is actually an 80 millimeter base on the Biovore / Pyrovore. So it's on an 80 mil base compared to a 32 mil on the Reaver. And then you can see just the height and size comparison. He's just a big girthy boy. I do like the more tick / scorpion vibe you get from the new model. So very cool, much improved over the current option. The only other complaint, I think, if it's even a complaint, is that you kind of lose like the old Orky DNA vibe you would get from the previous generation. If you know what I'm talking about, then you know what I'm talking about. But if not, don't worry about it. It's still a really cool model, and I'm really happy with the improvements GW made on it. Do you know that, Matt, that the Biovores and Pyrovores are actually based off of Orc DNA?
Like in lore, I assume.
In the lore. If you look at the current model's face, and you know that, like, it's got orc genes. He's got a big orc underbite jaw. Yeah. You're like, oh yeah, I totally see an orc face in there. And the fact that he shoots fungal spores and they're orcs or fungus, it's like, oh, never. Well, those are all the brand new Tyranids, and I gotta say, between the new models and the new sculpts, I think GW did a fantastic job aligning the new Tyranids to the new range. So more of this, please. Hey, if you made it this far, first off, thanks so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. I'm Adam from BoLS, and if you like our content, please feel free to watch another video that's popping up right there on your screen, and do all the YouTube-y things. You know, click the little like button and all that jazz. We'll be back with more Tyranid good stuff, and more 40K, and a whole bunch of other coverage later. I'll catch you next time.